Hi guys, welcome back on my YouTube channel Vaishnavi Combine and here I am Vaishnavi. कियारा आडवाणी और सिद्धार्थ मल्होत्रा की शादी हो गई है। मेरे को एक पॉडकास्ट मिला था कियारा आडवाणी का रणबीर अलावदिया के साथ। मुझे लगा इस वीडियो के ऊपर मुझे रिएक्ट करना चाहिए और मुझे भी ये वीडियो देखना चाहिए क्योंकि कियारा आडवाणी एक रिलेशनशिप के बारे में अपना कैसी सोच रखती हैं और लॉन्ग टर्म लव के लिए, और सुना है कि वो साइकोलॉजी भी पढ़ी है। लेट्स सी उनका दिमाग कैसा है क्योंकि बॉलीवुड स्टार्स के पास दिमाग नहीं होता, लाइक आलिया भट्ट होते हैं, और इनका रियल नेम कियारा नहीं है, आलिया ही है।
In the 11th and 12th, I took up psychology. It was something that interested me. I took up humanities, which we had as an option in school. I felt I had everything, every disorder in the book. Because when you're reading it, you feel like, oh my god, I'm bipolar, I'm a sociopath, I'm a psychopath, I'm a this, I'm a that. You feel like you have everything when you're studying it.
You want to feel like a queen?
No, I don't want to feel like a queen.
वैसे मुझे साइकोलॉजी बहुत पसंद आ रही है। मेरी एक फ्रेंड है जो साइकोलॉजी इसने पढ़ी है, मेरा भी मन करता है कि मैं भी पढ़ूं, और उसने जब से सजेस्ट किया है जब से
No way. I don't even think about it.
Now my thing is like dharmic stuff, you know, like I've gotten deep into that. Or gymming, it was gymming for a very long phase. Yeah.
This is your meditation ground.
This is my high, dude, like when I'm exchanging energy with people.
I'm so happy that I'm a part of balancing
You're my real life Smirnoff bottle.
Oh man, that's cool.
Content creation is not an easy career, and in the long term you have to choose a form of content creation that's sustainable. Therefore, choose a form of content creation that you enjoy. Episodes like this where I get to know another intelligent human being this deeply. This is the reason I've chosen this particular. Kiara Advani is also a psychology grad. Kiara Advani is an observer of life because of her current profession, and Kiara Advani is someone who's found success as an actor. This one is an extremely deep, fun, consumable conversation. Especially if you like relationship psychology, evolutionary psychology, I think you're going to enjoy this particular episode.
Smart.
Kiara Advani, welcome to the Ranveer Show.
Thank you. I'm excited because I have no idea what we're going to be chatting about today.
I usually prep a lot for podcasts. For some reason, something told me don't prep for this one. Just go and talk.
Amazing.
And when I first saw you, I feel like you're a very open person. So I'm actually glad I took on that mentality.
Okay, great.
Are you an open person?
I am. I think like I'm the kind of person who, it's like, you know, some people you're not even asking for information and they'll tell you everything about their life. Even if you don't need to know or want to know, I'm unfortunately or fortunately that person. I'm very transparent. So if I'm upset, you'll see it on my face. If I'm happy, you'll see it on my face. If I'm excited, you'll see it on my face. If I'm pissed off, you'll fully see it on my face. I can't hide.
Are you a combination of two people? Like one's the professional one and one's the personal one? And I'll tell you what context is coming from. They say that everyone has three sides. One is what we're like in a group. One is what we're like with a loved one. And one is what we're like alone. I kind of have a sense that you are the same person with a loved one and alone. Very open, vulnerable person.
You've done psychology?
No. Have you?
I have actually.
That's okay. Go on.
I am actually the same person. Like now when I'm looking at myself in these three zones, I'm the same person.
Okay.
With my loved one, with my team, with the people I work with people I meet, there's only one person.
Okay. The podcasting kind of has taught me bits of psychology because you get to enter so many people's heads and hearts. But I'll tell you why I'm going to say what I'm going to say right now. It's because I feel like when I really reveal what's like inside my head, it opens up the other person as well. True. And you are a very open person. But you're honestly like so pretty. It's like difficult to have this conversation with you right now a little bit. But I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do, Kiara. I want to know about psychology. I feel like you're very good at people skills, and that might be your Sindhi side. I don't know what it is.
Are you Sindhi as well?
I've grown up around Sindhis. Okay. I'm Punjabi.
But why do you feel Sindhis and psychology has a connect?
You know how people go like, oh, Sindhis are a business community and all. My gut is that to be good at business, you have to be good with people. And I've noticed this across all the Sindhis. I know that everyone's very good with people. So I think it's a cultural trait.
So maybe it's a cultural trait because I think even in my family, everyone's very expressive. So I've grown up in an environment where everyone is a people's person, be it my mom, my dad, my cousins, brother, everyone's very expressive. As growing up as a child, I was a pathetic student. In the sense, I mean, I was very like obedient. All the other boxes were good except for when it came to my grades. I think science, math, all of that went like way above my head. But why I'm sharing this is in the 11th and 12th, I took up psychology, and it was something that interested me. I took up humanities, which we had as an option in school. So basically, I did psychology, sociology, and people personalities. That people's person. That's who I am. That's what I enjoy, and that's the field that I think I just excelled in. So my 12th grades were 92%, and I had like topped psychology in school, and I almost for a brief moment thought, if I had to have a plan B in life, then I would take up and go for further studies abroad and probably get into that field. But life had other plans, and I was too passionate about acting to have a plan B being nurtured. So it was always plan A. But when I did psychology for 2 years, I felt I had everything, every disorder in the book. Because when you're reading it, you feel like, oh my God, I'm bipolar, I'm a sociopath, I'm a psychopath, I'm a this, I'm a that. You feel like you have everything when you're studying it. Because the thing is, we all have a little bit of all those, those feelings where humans, where people at the end of the
Things,
day. Preeti, for example,
emotions.
from Kabir Singh, was a character that was so internalized. It was not easy for me to snap out of it. I remember when I was shooting Good News, which is the complete opposite of Preeti, there were days I had to like up my energy and up myself, because my process till then, and since I was in that Preeti zone and phase of mind, was so internalized. I had to learn the art of detachment. And that taught me, and I think maybe somewhere just be in that zone, be 100%, be here. What happened, what's supposed to happen, what's going to happen after 1 hour, none of that matters. Enjoy this 1 hour.
That's a lot of self-psychology that's gone
That's a
on. I think
nice.
you think about yourself a lot, and I think that's an outcome of being a psychology student.
I'm an overthinker.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You're also an artist, so all artists
All
are.
artists are.
Because
Yeah.
you're
Me
gifted with
too.
creativity, and then the creativity can work against you sometimes.
True.
But it's chill. It's chill. About psychology, so I'm an engineer, and from the time you choose science in your 11th standard,
Yeah.
the narrative in science is that every other industry is bad and every other field will not earn you money the way science can earn you money, and that's not true. And I've realized after becoming a professional that even if I hadn't done science, I would have probably done something
like-
outside of it anyway. So it's
I'm a
not
science
true for
student,
sure.
by
And,
the way.
even see what happens
So
is when
मुझे
your
अच्छी लगती
teachers
थी
and
science.
professors and friends are always
That's why
dissing
I
other
took.
professions, you kind of start believing that. So even there was a phase in my life where I looked down upon people who studied anything other than science,
that.
including psychology. And then as I've grown up, I've realized the power that subjects like psychology hold, where I've started studying it now and I'm seeing how much it's helping my real life. And I've realized how much of a relevant life skill this is. That when you actually read psychology textbooks, when you dive into it, you realize so much stuff about the people around you, situations around you, and people keep talking about intuition and how it's built by things like meditation. I strongly feel like even psychology can like build your intuition. I'm also getting that from you, that you're really in sync with how my headspace is working.
Yeah.
Here I can sense that because you haven't fallen for 2-3 of my podcasting tricks.
Which are?
I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you at the end.
We'll see through the
Yeah,
interview.
because I want to use them again and test you.
But you know what? When you speak of the importance of it, I feel like I wish those were the subjects, like life skills and people skills and psychology or any of these subjects that we speak of. I wish that we studied those growing up more than, of course, you do your math, science, and all. Who remembers theta, gamma, and all these other things? Like, I mean, I don't know where I'm using it in my life. Great for those who've made it. You are, so great for those. But I mean, it would be
Theta,
lovely
gamma.
if I had known of so many things that I studied later on that I was interested in.
नहीं ऐसी बात
had that
नहीं है, मैं भी
incorporated,
साइंस
like, in
स्टूडेंट
school,
हूँ, बायोलॉजी
growing
ली
up, I
थी,
feel like I
तो
would have
यूज
been
होती है रियल
the
लाइफ.
person I am today, maybe like 5 years earlier,
Each
or like the
subject
knowledge
has
that I
their
would have
advantages.
gained, or if the person I've evolved into, I would have known of that much earlier in life to handle life better.
I think you're handling life
am I?
fantastically.
I hope
Don't
so.
You must have
focus
done
on cons.
something right to get to where you are.
Yeah, I
What
think
have you
even
done
all
right?
the things you've done wrong to get to where you are very important.
Tell us
You
about what you've done
can't-
right and wrong.
You know, when you put someone that kind of question, you have to really look back, because when you think of what have I done, I think if I have to honestly say what I've done right is all the spontaneous decisions I've made in life. Even if it's
Which means listening to your gut feeling and
listening to
intuition.
your intuition. Yeah,
Okay.
listening to whatever your gut tells you, your instinct. I think even if it's not been a
दिमाग का
successful
इस्तेमाल नहीं
decision,
करना है.
I feel it was necessary in my journey to make me understand and learn the things. See, life is all about learning.
Would you like me to tell you about you?
Yeah.
Because I've
Yeah,
done like a
I
bunch of these.
agree.
So
Okay.
I've done so many that now I
Okay,
have
tell me.
blueprints
I
for
love
like
to know about me
about
from
people's
by other
heads.
people.
About people's heads. Okay. This is just from podcasting, and I have certain blueprints in my head based on the ones I've already done. I've done army people, entrepreneurs, actors, directors. I've done possibly every kind of head profile.
Heads.
According to me, I'm looking forward to new ones.
Yeah.
After a long time, I found a new one in you.
Acha.
Yeah.
Okay, share.
So what I find new about you is that you're too sharp in picking up what I'm doing in the podcast. People don't pick up. I'm able to like lead. I'm able to shepherd them through it. You're like, why are you doing this? Like, that's the energy I'm getting from you. And you're carrying it forward. You're building the content with me. So that shows a lot of intuitiveness and definitely psychology study. You're understanding where I'm coming from. And maybe even the podcaster in front of you is not the real me and you're picking up that.
Yeah.
Even I'm waiting for the real parts to like
To
come out.
come
See, this
out?
is the real part.
Okay.
Secondly, I do sense like a lot of creativity, obviously. Like the artist thing is there like too much. Very connected to like your emotional side and all that. Especially from like, you know, your personal side, like part of
Correct.
things. These thoughts I can sense in you a lot. Like you're thinking a lot about your personal life right now. And it's good because somewhere as an actor, you have to, when you have personal life things happening, it could be positives, it could be trauma. It's giving you fuel to better yourself as an actor.
For sure.
So I like how you're having a positive relationship with whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
Okay. How do you guard yourself from
Am I
like say
right?
people you don't want to interact with? Where your intuition is telling you stay away from this person, stay away from this energy. So
Then
what
I
do you
just
do
stay away from that person.
Okay.
And that energy. I feel you take on a lot from, like, I believe in energies. I believe that tomorrow, if we are sitting and having a conversation and say you're friends with someone and you're, you know, I feel like their energy will add a lot to your life. I pick up on energy. So I think also because, like you said, you've noticed that my emotional quotient is very high. So if somebody's feeling low, I may empathize with them to as much as how they are feeling. So
how am I feeling?
Right now,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of heart in you. I don't know what you're going through in life, but you're putting on your bravest self right now. Am I right?
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
right?
really like I'm surrounded by a lot of loving friends and team and family. But I love talking to people. I don't drink or smoke or do anything. So my high is when I.
Me too.
Oh, really? Why do you not?
To be honest, I'll give it to my mother, because when we were growing up, she was like, these are not things you should be doing, blah, 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 blah. So I never tried. She said, you don't need to try, because if you don't try, you'll never know, and then you won't ever get into these bad habits.
You've never tried?
No, I mean, I've had a drink and stuff, obviously. Like, I've, you know, 18th birthday,
मैंने
21st
देखी है यार
birthday,
beaches
had
पे
your first glass of champagne
Kiara
and all of that. But I've never... I've
प्रोफाइल
never
चेक
taken
करना
liking
मिल
to it,
जाएगी.
so I'm
Dude,
a teetotaler.
I've gone to one
And-
extreme of alcoholism.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah,
And
when
you've
I was-
come out of it types?
Yeah, because I mean, I've got this thing called an addictive personality disorder. I think they call it something else.
Huh.
So any kind of anything that releases dopamine in my head, I get really into it. It could be video games, a person.
So are
know?
you like an extremist?
Yeah, which is why now my thing is like dharmic stuff. You know, like I've gotten deep into that. Or gymming. It was a gymming for a very long phase.
Oh.
But you
So
have
this helps you balance it, like getting into whether meditation or gymming
or content,
or content.
YouTube.
This
Yeah.
is your meditation ground.
This is my
How
high, dude. Like when I'm
cool.
exchanging energy with people.
I'm so happy that I'm a part of balancing your...
You're my real life Smirnoff bottle.
Oh man, that's cool.
No, but this job is great. I mean, I love the entrepreneurship side of things also because it's challenging and
Yeah,
aggressive and
yeah.
it's like war in a very positive way. And this is like the art and the kind of refueling I get for
Yeah.
that war.
That's
So
cool, yeah.
it's a great and I sense
That's very cool. I should look at life like that.
you don't.
Maybe subconsciously or unconsciously it's happening, but like how you know that you look at this as a way to like I should look at, like, I always feel very anxious before films release. Okay, I don't get sleep at night, and it's probably excitement, anxiety, nervousness, all of that put together. But I've realized I won't sleep till 2, and I'm someone who sleeps at 11 o'clock or like max 11 o'clock. So I won't sleep till 2, 3. I won't get sleep. I feel like there's constantly like a little bit of butterflies going on. For what I think
कुछ तो
I mean, I feel it's because of the release, but this happens to me for every release.
Can I tell you one more thing about you, which I've noticed?
Yeah.
So while you're saying you're anxious, I also think there's a
Excitement,
base of a
over
lot of
Yeah,
excitement.
it's not. See, anxious doesn't necessarily mean
unhappy.
unhappy. It like I saw this very interesting video on Instagram or something where this guy was saying, I forget who he was, but basically he said that when you're nervous, what are the symptoms? You know, your your breathing is a little different, when you're little like your palms are a little sweaty, all of that. When you're excited, what are your symptoms? The same thing. So when you tell your mind that these symptoms are excitement, you realize that one's
Normal.
nervousness can also be seen as excitement, and most of the time it is. Like I'm excited. My trailer's launched.
Yeah, मैंने
we're
वही
going out
चीज
and
बोली
about,
कि
we're meeting
excitement.
people. But there's this thing now, and I said, oh my god, this
And
promotional
that's
rut, it's so
over.
stressful. It's all in our mind. It's not so stressful. Actually, I can use this to refuel myself and then get back. Like how you're talking about, this being like energizing you for you to put back into your, on your techie side and going when you go there.
Not
So
every
I'm
podcast
gonna-
is like that. You
Okay.
like I'm not
So I have to meet
complimenting you
you.
here. Huh?
Actually, I have to meet journalists like you, or not journalists,
I'm
but I
not
have
a
to meet people
journalist.
like you. I hope the others that I meet have this kind of a vibe, so that it kind of like, excites you. It's far more interesting to speak with and to have conversations like this as opposed to like the mundane stuff of what was the experience, how did it feel. I feel like after a point you're like pretty much like like saying the same thing. Even you've lost interest in that, so you have to keep like upping your energy in that sense.
Yeah, I think honestly the audience has lost interest in interviews, which are just questions pre-planned. And podcasts are here to stay. That's what I hope for. Now that I've got to know about this whole psychologist side, I have some questions that are quite pertinent. Okay. Psychologists are observers. Okay. And so actors. This is one thing I figured over the course of this podcast. Your debut Hindi film was Dhoni? No? I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Okay.
But most people thought it was Dhoni because that was a film that people, like before that, the films that I did, nobody knew me.
Right. No.
So Fugly was my debut film. That's absolutely fine. A lot of people think my debut film is Dhoni.
The reason I saw you there first, and I felt like you lit up the screen.
How sweet.
Yeah. I'm asking you this out of curiosity. Okay. And this is something we've discussed a lot as well, because one of the most requested podcasts for us was Sushant. Like they were like, we would love for you to have him on the show. Unfortunately, whatever happened. But I'd love to know from your eyes and your heart, what was he like as a person? What was that mind like? Because we couldn't do the podcast. I couldn't dive in. I'm sure as a psychologist, like this is maybe one amateur psychologist talking to a professional.
I'm not a professional.
I mean,
I've
not
only studied it 2 years, but
Observe.
I'm not professional at all. I've only read. But I can tell you my experience as a co-actor and as a, friend, because when we were working together, I think we had a wonderful equation. I think he's a very curious mind. We started the shoot in Aurangabad, and we were shooting a song that we were doing in the film and a few scenes. And I remember we were shooting during the day. We must have packed up around 8 o'clock, and we had a 4 a.m. flight. So naturally we kind of thought, let's just pull an all-nighter. What's the point of sleeping? And when you've wrapped up a good schedule, everyone's always like happy and stuff. So that's the time I actually spent time with Sushant, and we got chatting. And it's so interesting because he had shared his journey and how Dhoni happened for him, and generally his life story with me, from being a backup dancer behind Preeti Zinta, and how he came and how he was an engineer. And he had all these massive books that he was reading. And he was very curious about life, about people. He was very driven. And I remember by the end of it, I told him, I said, someday someone will make a biopic on you only, because his story and his journey was very, very interesting. Even as an actor, I think he was so passionate, because I remember he had like a whole booklet of like questions that he had asked Dhoni with answers. In fact, so much of the research that he did about his life, about Dhoni's life, about, his personal life, Sushant had shared that with me to help me in my research. He was a bit of an insomniac, because when I remember I was like so groggy by the end of it, like I need to go to sleep. And he's like, I sleep. I remember he told me this. He said, apparently the human body only needs 2 hours of sleep. Even when you sleep 8 hours or 7 hours or whatever each person needs, is from that only 2 hours is what the actual time your brain is actually sleeping. The rest of the time you may be like unconscious or and asleep, but your mind is still active. So he said, I just need 2 hours of sleep. And it was strange. I was like, this is so strange. How does he do this? But he was pretty like energized the next day. You know, he wasn't tired on set, but he was just, that was how he was just built and made. I don't know. It was very fascinating.
What was his energy like as
Energetic.
an actor when you were doing scenes with him?
So natural. So natural. I mean, it shows. Everyone who saw the film, so natural and so effortless. Especially in Dhoni. I think that was really his standout performance. Even his first film, Kai Poche, I really, really liked him as an actor.
When you say driven, like you said, he was driven. And that's what I mainly picked up from everything you said, amongst other things. You're
I think
self-critical?
I'm very critical on myself. Yeah, I'm very hard on myself.
As an actor or as a person?
As an actor. As a person, I like a lot of things about me. Maybe I'll share those things.
Sure.
As an actor, I'm very critical. As a person, I feel like I think my loyalty and my foundation is very strong.
You're a humble person. I'll tell you that for sure. I sense a
Thank
lot of
you.
humility from you. Like, and genuine
I-
humility. Like,
thank you.
and people are sometimes, especially on the show, famous people. And it could even be people who are not actors, all right? Like someone who's just like businessman famous. They're different people off camera and on camera. And you're the same person. And that says a lot about your upbringing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you said the humble thing, I said it's all mom and dad. That this is the only part of the episode they are going to be so proud when they watch and see. You know, our
Auntie,
parents
uncle,
are. Yeah.
your daughters, they share. She's so humble. She's so... How do you get this combination of pretty, humble, smart, observant? How do you get it, Kiara Advani?
You can be born to my parents.
No, cool.
Everyone can.
No, I'm trying to figure out your flaws also. Hold on.
I'm sure there are many. It's like a mind reader, no?
I love how you're very brave about your own healing process. So
Yeah, I
very
try to
confident.
be.
माइंड रीडर मुझे
I
सच
don't
में
know,
लग रहा है ये
yeah,
इंसान
I
ही मुझे
try
लगता है
to be
ये
good
इंसान
about
बहुत
my
ज्यादा
healing
ऑब्जर्वर है
process.
रणबीर
But
But there is, like, you're right, there is.
you're
there
so
is
emotional, but
Yeah.
then you know what happens? Like the thing is, and this is a beauty of business. Business forces you to become emotionless. And you have to become emotionless in business after a certain point. Okay? Any entrepreneur you speak to, even if they began as a very emotional person, they kill that off as a requirement. And sometimes
work.
that's not great. You know, it
Yeah.
affects your personal life badly.
Yeah.
And it's something that's affected my personal life badly. Like my closest friends and relationships have
Yeah.
told me that stop being this emotionless. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's a requirement. Anyway, my point is, it also allows you to deal with pain much more easily. Now, I feel because you're such an emotional person and even your job
Yeah.
requires you to be so emotional, you sense pain much deeper than
Another person would.
yeah. And this is not a
That's true.
generalized thing.
No, that's true.
Are you feeling like it's general?
Yeah. No. That's
Okay.
true what you're saying.
Yeah. So I have, as a friend, I won't say I have pity because that's a strong word, but I feel for you. Like I
Aw,
feel
thanks.
like as in whenever you're hurt, I think you
I
get
feel
too
you.
hurt.
Yeah.
It's not good, dude, because
It's not good. But what I've observed about myself is that's true, it happens. Like there is a healing process, but then once I've healed and snapped out of it, it just doesn't affect me anymore.
yeah.
So the I know that since that happens, there's a silver lining, that it's not like this is the end of the world, but the process is very hard. I won't deny that, and it definitely makes it harder when you are so in touch with your emotions, or when you are, I don't know, call it overly sensitive or what. Some people say that, but I just feel it's like that's just how I am built. That's my mold is of that. So it's great for the work, the line I'm in, and I never want to lose that because you can't be an emotional person if you're an actor. I think then you're not going to go far. You have to be in touch with your emotions. Unless you're really good at faking it, then great. But I feel like even on screen, for me, I know the times when I felt it on screen while performing, like when I've in the scene, when I've been in that moment. I know that as then when I'm watching it, I can connect, and I know then the audience will connect. But as opposed to if I'm faking it, and there are some, you'll act it, you're an actor. But for me, I know that I've acted, so I know that it may not hit home because there was a difference in the way I've, done it in the ones when scenes where you know that it's hit that beat, it's hit that note. So as an actor, definitely works for me. As a person, I let the process take its course.
Is it difficult to find love in your profession? I've heard a lot of female actor friends of mine saying that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know this reality. One, because I'm not a girl.
Yeah.
Two, because I'm not an actor. So it's just a whole new perspective in terms of, I feel, honestly, there's a lot of men. Many of the men would first of all be like afraid to like come up to y'all because of the way y'all look and who y'all are. Then out of the ones who'd come up, many of them would just want to be with you for the status of being with you. So it leaves a very small pool of like genuinity to come your way. And I'll tell you one more thing. Out of that genuine pool of men.
सो इस वीडियो को कंटिन्यू करेंगे क्योंकि ये वीडियो बहुत ज़्यादा लेंथी है, सो इसको 2 पार्ट में डालेंगे। आज के लिए बस इतना ही। आरएस जो पॉडकास्ट है ये देखिए, आप लोगों को कैसा लगा? मुझे तो पर्सनली बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला है इस वीडियो से, और मैं ऐसी चीज़ें बहुत ज़्यादा मतलब देखना पसंद करती हूँ कि लोगों से कैसे इंटरेक्ट करते हैं, एक रिलेशनशिप को एक अच्छा बेटर कैसे कर सकते हैं, और मतलब अपने आसपास के लोगों के माइंड्स को पढ़ना, उनके इमोशंस को जानना, समझना, अंडरस्टैंडिंग कैसे रख सकते हैं बेटर। सो मुझे पर्सनली बहुत अच्छा लगा। आप लोगों का क्या ओपिनियन है? आप लोग प्लीज़ कमेंट सेक्शन में डालिएगा कमेंट। और आज का अगर ये शो अच्छा लगा तो प्लीज़ वीडियो को लाइक, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब और शेयर करो इस वीडियो को।